and welcome to this week's Android Developer Office Hours. I'm in London with Nick Butcher.
Hello.
And Matthew Gaunt here.
Hi.
To answer your Android developer kind of technical questions around Android and talk about the Android operating system in general. Things that we won't be talking about include product roadmaps, future releases, and stuff that you know we're not supposed to talk about. We've already got quite a full hangout today. As 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we're absolutely full, in fact.
Well, 10 is the maximum, right?
Yeah, we're in. We have all 10 people in, so sorry if you didn't get in straight away. Maybe as people ask their questions and we answer them, they can drop out and some other people will be able to get in a little later. Still hoping we can get Sparky in from our Munich office, as he's generally... Oh, Bram's with us as well today. Hey, Bram. Nice to see you. Or not see you, as the case may be. Because Sparky has the answers to the questions, generally, so it's quite good if he comes in. Let me just repost this onto the Android Developers Plus page. Oh, it's still limited. Oh, no, it's not. All right, let me add the moderator to the Android Developers Plus page so that people know where they can add their links. Today's moderator. And if anyone has any questions from the Hangout whilst we're just sorting this out at the very beginning, please feel free to start asking.
Well, I've got one is, you know, with Jelly Bean you added many more RTL languages to the Android operating system, to the Nexus, to the Galaxy Nexus anyhow. And are those languages now belong to the base languages that come to every device, or is it dependent on the feeling of the OEM?
Yeah, same answers as we've always given you, Tal, when you've asked that question 4 or 5 times before.
No, I don't know. With the update, I know. With Jelly Bean, maybe it's changed. I don't know.
No, not at all. The same as always. Like, we put out a certain image, but it's up to the carriers and OEMs to choose what they put into their image. So which languages actually finally make it through is up to whoever kind of owns the build.
Well, you did a really good job with Hebrew anyhow. You know,
Yeah.
I've been running with it with quite a while. It's nice job.
Excellent.
With Jabe. Only, yeah, it's pretty nice.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, Manish has been dying to get this question in from before the broadcast started, so let's have a quick look at Manish's question. I have a problem. I've unzipped a zipped file on the SD card, and after unzipping, got CSV, and then import the CSV in SQLite. I have done it a lot. For your information, I want to tell you that I don't have Michael speakers. That may you help me, please? Is that a question?
I think he's asking how to import a CSV into SQLite.
After unzipping a CSV, import CSV in SQLite. We used to have a canned answer for how to pre-prepare SQLite databases. There's a really good answer on Stack Overflow that I will pull out and add into the links, but there's a couple of ways of doing it. You can either pre-prepare the database as a SQLite 3 database file using ADB shell and things like this, or you can do the import as a bulk import afterwards into a new SQLite database on the device. But obviously that's going to take a little bit of time, and you'll have some duplicated data. Let me just pull off the Stack Overflow link and add it into the comments.
But essentially what you end up doing is ending up reading the file, right, and creating content values and inserting them into your database yourself.
Yes, you do. I'm not set up my computer, but I'm sure I'll find this pretty quickly. We're all looking up there, not because our screen is 1,000 inches, and actually I can just drag stuff all the way up there, but because all the questions appear on a screen that's up in the sky somewhere. And that's where attached to the wall, that's where our web browser lives as well, Chrome, as you'd expect.
Answer to Manish's other question, where is Sparky? Sparky is trying to join at the moment. He's just having a few technical issues, and hopefully he'll jump into the Hangout soon if there's still space. And it's asked another question which I also want to know the answer to. What happened to Tal's hair?
What happened to Tal? Oh, it's still the end. Second phone.
Well, the answer to that is the army. That's what happened.
The army, that's what I thought.
So much, yeah.
Anyway,
I had a question about the monkey runner.
Oh, Ari has a question about. Whoa! Ari says he's trying to create an automated QA process for his Android device using Monkey Runner. I've been searching a lot over the web, and it seems to me that you are the #1 experts on this. I've been successful. Sorry, people watching on the live stream, this is quite a long question. I have been able to run successfully the Monkey Runner through the command and loading in Python. And now he's pasting more and more in as we go. I find it a big hassle to connect to the device every time I want to run a command. Is there any way I can do this without connecting to the device every time? Sorry about we do have quite a good testing guide inside the new developer.android.com site. It has updated the description on how to use Monkey Runner, so if you haven't checked it in the last 3 or 4 weeks, it might be useful for you. I don't have a specific answer to how to keep the device connected, so you don't have to keep reconnecting to run the Monkey Runners. It sounds strange that it's disconnecting. Mock objects.
Anyone else got any experience with Monkey Runner? Can offer anything here?
Yeah, that'd be handy.
I've only ever seen disconnects when it's running out of memory on the actual device itself and the firmware starts to fail. I've not seen it with a generally well-written application behaving as it should without any issues. So it might be worth looking over the application just in case there are some memory leaks or things like that which could be eating up the RAM on the device.
Good answer. I don't know why it varies. Alright, so let's do this all. LinkedIn. So we're still kind of waiting for Sparky to join. Do we have an update on the present?
I've got a question for you.
Oh, go on, Charles, then before we head into the...
Yeah, sure. It's to do with the navigation, navigating within the stack. So the problem that we have is we're creating a widget, and the user touches a part of the widget which takes the user into the app, sort of a deep link within the app. So our question is with regard to sort of what happens when you hit the back button at that point once you've navigated into the app. So it's probably helpful to give an example. So the YouTube app, when you have the YouTube widget, you hit a video, it takes you to the video, obviously, within the YouTube app. Interestingly, when you hit back, it takes you back to the launch activity. But if you have the Gmail widget, for example, you hit an email, it takes you into the email within Gmail. But if you hit the back key, it takes you to the inbox list. So the question, I guess, is what is the recommended behavior?
What Gmail's doing?
What Gmail's doing?
I think the general approach, the way I remember it at least, is because you can like resume an old activity and so on, is you don't want to think about exactly where you kind of come from, because a user could resume that, the Gmail activity at any time. And if they were to hit the back button, it would take them, back to the home screen. That would be like an unexpected behavior.
Yeah.
So the key is that if there's a usual place you would get to that screen from, the back button should take you there.
So the task backstack build or whatever it's called doesn't work pre 3.0. It just sort of, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't actually support pre 3.0.
Yeah, there's a version in the support library for back to 1.6.
Oh, okay, so that will work. It'll have the same behavior back to 1.6.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take a look at that. Thanks.
Yeah, there's two things. You can take a look at that. The other thing that helps you with the navigation is in 4.1 in Jelly Bean, there's a new attribute on activity where you can define the parent.
Yeah.
So the support library will help you out there as well. You obviously, we can't backwards compatibly change activity, but you can add a metadata tag which defines the parent. So you add whatever the metadata tag is to the activity, saying what parent it is. If you take a look at the Google I/O app from this year, that's a great example of how to do this.
Okay. Thanks.
Welcome.
So would that work if you had multiple parents? If one activity had a parent that had a parent, would it
as long as you specify each parent, yeah, along the chain, yeah. It just helps the up button do the right thing. Any more live questions from people in the Hangout?
Okay. Let's take the first one off the top of the moderator then. Is there an implementation of the content provider that returns a cursor of plain old Java objects? Actually a cursor implementation that contains objects? There's not one that I know about.
Did they just die or something? Did London fall?
Yeah, London have just fallen off.
Well, I guess
yeah, they're
that's
back again.
Yeah.
There we go.
Someone kicked the cable or something.
We lost you just after you said there wasn't a content provider implementation you knew about.
Yeah, there might be one in the open source in the third-party land. Does anyone on the Hangout know of one? I guess I'd hope that Bill, who posted the question, would have searched the internet for it first. But at the same time, it's not particularly hard to go from SQLite to POJOs in your instantiation afterwards. You just take the data and build the object back up again.
There are a few object relational mapping tools as well that can take a lot of that heavy work and do it for you. If you have a look around, there'll be some around that.
We've brought Sparky with us this time. Hey Sparky, good to see you.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Oh, you're sat at your desk in the Munich office right now.
That is my desk in the Munich office.
You and your big collar.
Yeah. Well, as you know, the new version of macOS Mountain Lion shipped today, and my MacBook, being 2 full versions of the OS behind, is beset with such feelings of inadequacy and anxiety that it refuses to connect on any wireless network in the office. So I have to go to a place where I have a wired network.
How come you're not using your Chromebook, Sparky?
I keep that one at home.
Ah, interesting. You have the choice.
I think London died again.
Yeah, we seem to Sparky be hitting the London dropout every few minutes or so. So.
Wow. Boy, I think our network went the same place that Tal's hair went.
Yeah.
What, the Israeli army?
Dead slash calm.
Fair enough. So we've just tackled the first question off the top of the moderators.
And I was going to say, a common pattern I've seen as well is to have a bind method on your Pojo, which accepts the cursor, so you can use that.
Cursor? What's this about cursor? You must be looking at moderator questions I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it's just a new one that's added in. But that's okay. We're on it.
All right.
We have Richard Thompson, welcome, and Peter Ida as well. I don't know why we're still in here twice. So now you risk. Do you want to take the next moderator question, Sparky?
Sure. So you just did you do this?
We did the cursor Pojo objects.
Is there any implementation of a content provider that returns cursor of Pojo objects? That was just done.
I am way behind you guys. Oh, there we go. Now I see it. Wow, that's a good one. You got a ton of new questions since the last time I connected.
Crazy.
We're popular.
That one's not even at the top of my list. Have you looked at the C2DM question?
Not yet.
No, go for
Okay.
it.
All right. Matt from Warwick wants to know, with CTDM being deprecated, are there any changes anticipated for how cloud messaging, GCM, is implemented in the future now that Google Cloud Messaging is a primary method? Or can we rely on GCM for the foreseeable future? Well, my crystal ball is a little bit overcast today, but I would guess that at the very least, GCM will be no less stable than cloud-to-device messaging was, which is that we ran it for a couple of years and then gave it a nice, graceful exit strategy, with giving people lots of time to change over to the new method. And at the very least, I think you can expect at least that level of support for Google Cloud Messaging as well.
It seems at the moment that the Google Cloud Messaging is quite active, because every week or two I'm seeing public announcements about new features being added and tweaks being made. So it seems pretty active from what I've seen.
Yeah, well, cloud-to-device messaging, C2DM, basically went into feature freeze several months ago, and all the new development has been taking place in GCM.
And it has several significant advantages over C2DM as well, right? Like the fan out and so on.
Yeah, and not least of which is that you don't have to request quotas anymore. Not only do you not have to request quotas, but you don't have to sign up for an account either. You publish your app and write whole this whole off login client or client login two-step to get your server-side messaging. We just give you an API key that you can use. So this whole login process that your server has to do is no longer the case.
Just out of interest, Sparky, do you know why we allow space for 3 sender IDs per application?
No.
So the reason I heard is if you have 3 different kind of like topic streams or something like that, then you might be able to do that. Like
different servers sending different messages.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I did wonder.
I'm not buying that. I think 1 is enough.
1 for all your apps.
But yeah, as Sparky says, and Al noted, it's been actively developed. So if you are developing on it and you have feedback, then make sure you send it through. I mean, you can read that via us or what's the guy's name? Francisco Nevi, is it? The PM.
Yeah, Francisco.
Francesco, that's it.
Yeah, he's cool, and he's quite active in the Android C2DM forum.
Wasn't he also on the stateside office hours last week?
Yes, he was.
So it might be worth, if someone's looking at Google Cloud Messaging, having a look at the stateside office hours from last week and seeing what he said in that.
Fair enough. I don't know why we keep dropping out. Someone's put a time bomb inside our machine of some sort.
Everybody's trying to download Mountain Lion.
No.
Perfect Liger.
It's network bandwidth reservation for the Olympic Committee.
They get their own internet pipe as well now. They're laying on the M4.
You can't say any more than Olympic Committee, any more words, and you'll be in trouble with the branding police, Sparky.
The tubes are stuffed. Samuel, in the G Plus post, is asking, is there a simple G Plus Facebook Spotify style slide-in drop-down menu? The one that I've seen so far is Cyril Mottier's. I think
No, he hasn't got any code open sourced. He has a series of articles talking you through some of the techniques you can use, but there are a bunch of open source implementations. I think there's one on GitHub called Ribbon Menu, which looks pretty nice. There's Cyril's one.
There's a couple of major threads on Stack Overflow. You can just search for it there.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it.
But yes, at the moment you're downloading a custom layout. Or using someone else's.
Mhm.
I'm sure it'll make its way into Green Droid at some point or another.
Let's refresh this page.
Not seeing it just yet. Should I take another question from the moderator?
Yeah, sure.
Will there be an API or SDK to provide custom cards for Google Now? I don't know.
I will
Maybe.
make a disclaimer at the start of here that we won't be talking about product roadmaps, future releases, stuff that we can't announce. So, will there be questions? Definitely falls into that.
Wow, then that makes me really eager to take the next one from the moderator, which is Google Maps and speech recognition got offline functionality lately. Is there any way to leverage these within our own apps? I don't know. Not that I've heard.
Functionality, right?
Not that I had thought so, at least in the case of the speech recognizer.
Oh, not maps, so what's...
I wasn't able to turn up any solid information confirming that.
Yeah, Google Maps, there isn't anything you can do there, and speech recognition is transparent. If there isn't any network, it will use the offline one, and I believe the user can also select preferential.
I think there might be some cases where offline will get used even if there is online functionality. Like I've heard that the actual results of that are surprisingly good.
Yeah, if you have a spotty network, so if you have some
Yeah.
connectivity but it's kind of low bandwidth or high ping time or something like that, then it will
Yeah.
Switch
all
to
over
offline.
to the offline.
Try and give you the best experience possible as a user.
Yeah, the whole point of the speech interaction is supposed to be fast, right? Like if you have to sit around waiting for a long time, it's pretty useless. So we try to avoid that.
Can I add something? As we're talking about speed and latency and audio, I am experiencing some troubles with the media player. When I'm trying to play a file, it only plays the first few milliseconds or so, and it's not reproducible. So it has something to do with the marquee I use at the same time or something. Not very sure about this, so maybe you could say something about that.
The media player has quite a complex life cycle. Have you read all the documentation on it and made sure that you're following the correct life cycle for the stream? If it's not fully prepared and you've got the callback saying that the stream's prepared and then you hit run on it, you are going to run into that kind of problem.
Yeah, so I got some method to override where it fully loads the thingy and then starts playing. Yeah, I just
that. Even when you do get the error, it's already come back and said the video is ready to go, and then it tries to play it and it still falls apart.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any stack traces or any actual errors that come out of it, or is it there's nothing logged at all?
No, I actually don't get any things in my log cut. To be honest, though, my cable just broke, so I can't test it in my emulator because we can't shake the emulator, and yeah. So I'll test this tomorrow.
You can't shake the emulator.
No, can you?
Why do you want to shake it? I can. Why do you want to?
Well, I've got in my code, I've got a shake listener, so I use it on the phone, and I should implement something to just emulate a shake with the little button or something. So.
Fair enough. No, I cannot shake the emulator, but you still need a cable for it anyway. The latest version of the emulator allows you to pass in sensors from the device into the emulator, but
okay, good.
Cable, you haven't got a cable. You must have 1,000 micro USB cables. Is that just me? I've got so many damn micro USB cables. I don't know what to do with them.
No, just one.
The guys at Open Intents also have a sensor simulator, which I think might be able to emulate a shake on a device with an emulator, so I'll put the link up for that.
Yeah, I found that in Stack Overflow too. I'll post that as well.
Well, I had one comment about Jelly Bean that, it's really, you can see that it's much faster than ICS. My only comment against that is when you have two phone apps, like for example the default phone app and Skype, you're required to press 3 different buttons just to make a phone call. Which it's really annoying because it used to be 2 and now it's 3.
Yeah, but then you should be able to read all the files.
Yeah, that's why it's done.
Sorry, we totally missed that point because we dropped out again.
Well, my point was about Jelly Bean.
Okay, I mean, that's wasted.
That you have to use 3 different buttons if you've got 2 phone apps just to make a phone call.
And then, of course, okay.
For example, if you've got the normal phone app and Skype.
Oh, you mean the always and just once dialogue?
Yeah.
The application picker.
Yeah.
Now you have to press 2 buttons. Yes, yeah. Indeed.
It's a bit annoying if you see what I mean, that I have to press 3 different buttons just to make just to dial a number.
Yeah, the always behavior is fine, but the just once behavior is somewhat annoying. I agree. If you use that a lot in one particular.
But the difference with browser and, like with Skype and normal phone calls are, it's for different use cases, while the browser is usually for the same case, if you see what I mean.
Oh, maybe. I didn't know what you mean.
Why don't you just set the phone to always? And then
because sometimes I call abroad, and to call abroad from Israel is quite expensive, so I use Skype, and it's much cheaper in Skype than let's say. So.
I wouldn't be surprised if that changed at some point, but I don't actually know.
Well, it used to be 2 buttons, and now it's 3, so
There's definitely been quite a few conversations about that application selection dialogue.
I prefer it.
So who knows?
Well, the other thing that at least they improved about it is switching between keyboards, because it used to that you have to press a long press on the middle space button in order to switch, and now you've got this globe button that you can just press on it and it switches the keyboard. Instead of having a pop-up that
you
you
win
have to
some, you lose some with the keystrokes.
Can't please everyone.
true, but you know, it's getting there.
Yeah. Where are we, Sparky? Oh, I think you've gone into mute land, Sparky. Wow, do you want to unmute, or can you not talk right now?
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple of questions in the moderator that I actually know the answers to, I think. One is, I'm building an app that includes a live audio stream. I want to use RTSP. Is this supported on all Android OS versions? I can't speak to all, but I've seen forum posts talking about it way back in the days before Cupcake, so I would sort of tentatively say yes.
I got a little bit of input on this one. So we were playing around with getting some RTSP streaming going. We were getting it, we tested it, I think up to Honeycomb. So I believe the media player does work on it, but if you're expecting it to just be a completely live stream, there is buffering on the media player, which I don't think you can get around. So as far as I'm aware, it is supported, but there is that kind of slight latency in terms of buffering, etc.
And the official page says the following network protocols are supported RTSP.
Could it be that it's a codec issue as much as RTSP support?
Yeah, I mean, what we were trying to do was stream. Well, they were in the right format. So, I mean, the obvious example to try and make sure you've got it right, which is a bit of a nasty way of doing it, but yeah, it's getting a stream from VLC to your device to make sure the actual stream is valid in the right codec. And then if it's a case of that stream does work, then yeah, you're going to have to dig deeper.
And I'll also post the official supported media codecs and streams. There is a page in the developer documentation about it, which does suggest, well, it does say, RTSP is supported. And it says that H.263 is probably the only format, MP4 or 3GP, that's supported throughout all versions of Android as well.
Is it possible on mobile devices for OEMs to add extra codecs?
Yeah, Samsung flood their devices with codecs.
Because I know that's what happens with Google TV, so yeah.
You just have to take the licenses and add them in. And
the other thing, you've got to make sure you're, if you're using an MP4 file, you've got to make sure it's set up in the proper streaming format. So you need to make sure that some of them, I think the move atom needs to be before any of the data atoms as well, which is a pretty standard thing. So you can check that your stream's in the right format.
Should we take another one from the moderator?
Yep.
How about this one? With preferences activity being deprecated and preference fragments now become available starting with API 11, is it recommended to check and use the new API available, or just wait for the support library to catch up? I don't know exactly about the support library. There's a partial answer from Gabriel Ittner in Germany that says he doesn't think preference fragment can be added to the library due to some internal dependencies. I can't really speak to that, but in my own experience, there's only just a few lines of difference between a preference activity and a preference fragment. So I would probably do is try to factor that out into its own encapsulated bit of code and just call it from either the activity or the fragment, depending on what you detect support for. That's my recommendation. I tested this a little bit, for example, and you can read the same XML fragment, the same XML parcel in either one in the same application, and it works just fine. Given that, although we've deprecated it, preference activity still works, I kind of have a hard time telling people, no, don't use that, just use nothing. I mean, without it being in the support library, you can't access it on Gingerbread, which means you can't access it on something like 60 to 90% of the devices out there, and I'm reluctant to give that advice. So I would say go ahead and do the dual implementation method. It's not that much extra work.
There's an interesting thread on the Action Bar Sherlock issue tracker that covers this and covers the reasons why it's unlikely to make it into the support library as well. So I'll put a link up to that in case anyone wants more info.
Sweet.
Okay. Anything else from inside the Hangout before we jump to the next moderator question? Nope. Okay.
Next up on the moderator. Is there a way to call the recognizer intent and have it return a result no matter what and not show the error message for connections errors and such? Probably not, but I don't know.
Could you just catch that?
Yeah, I don't know about the recognizer intent. I would say if it does return error codes, it's probably not a way to suppress those. I suppose you could have it try again, you know, put it in an async task or something. But I don't know of a way to. I mean, I haven't looked into the API, but a priori, I don't know of a way to force it to return a result.
Well, the API doc says it either returns the intent or just null if not available. So I guess the problem is you're calling recognizer intent, the UI is coming up with a little microphone in it and the pulsing trying to recognize, but if there's no connection, the user's going to get an error that they have to dismiss, and then it goes back to the app with just a null response. So it's calling functionality that's in another part of the system and then trying to control that. And yeah, to my knowledge, there's no extras you can add on to the recognizer intent. There certainly aren't any specified in the documentation, which would allow you to say, if there's no connection, then don't show it. The obvious thing to do would be to check connectivity before you call the recognizer intent. And then if there isn't connectivity, don't give the option to do voice recognition. Although, of course, that changed with Jelly Bean anyway, where we have offline voice recognition. So maybe you're saying if you're on ice cream sandwich or before and there's no connection, then don't show the recognizer option. Might be a reasonable solution to your problem. And then the next one is, how do I get the Galaxy Nexus or Nexus S to emulate an unencrypted tag? I wonder if you're trying to do it programmatically or if you just want to do it as a test for the device. If you just want to emulate a tag, you can download the NXP software out of the Play Store. And you can read and write tags or pretend to be tags and do things like that.
And this is a pretty complex subject as well. It really depends on what the tag type is, because we really only support one particular tag type, which I
push.
No, I wish I forget the name of offhand. But
like the MyFair?
No, we don't support MyFair. It's an ISO standard one that we support, but yeah, it's a really, really quite complex situation, so it's quite open-ended. So it depends on what the tag you're trying to emulate is.
There you go.
But yeah, the app will probably your best bet for trying to do that.
And even if you're trying to do something else, the NXP app has an advanced mode for debugging, which is just excellent for trying to sort any of these issues out and see what contents are tags and what format tags are in, things like that. So grab that out of the Play Store. Do you have anything else from the comment stream yet?
I don't know.
So I added Nick's recommendation to my answer there.
Sorry? Oh, for some reason this isn't auto-refreshing today.
So Android phones can only do ISO 1443-4. Oh, and MyFair Classic, sorry, not the standard MyFair Secure ones, but they can do MyFair Classic.
Yeah.
So that's what we can support.
Hopefully the person who was asking that question...
Yes, if you're trying to emulate anything other than those, then you might be out of luck.
over to my cage is watching the video.
I can fix the moderator.
So, next question is, how can we mock the account manager in Android tests? Currently the default construct is private. Planning to add a mock account manager. I have not gone into the depths of what you can mock and what you can't mock in the test, so I can't really speak to that. I could look it up, but I have not done so in advance.
Yeah, again, the person who put the question did look it up. There seems to be some answers on the Android Google group, which may or may not work. Probably worth just checking that out and having a search. We certainly can't comment on whether there will be one in the future, because we don't know. 4 more in this page.
Did you cover the question about the about making the phone app more tablet friendly?
No, that's where we were just about to go.
Don't listen to the image size question. For example, I want to make my apps more tablet friendly, so how do I keep a phone layout for phones but also display larger images when a user installs on a tablet?
I don't know, I think that one's a complete stumper. I don't think we're going to be able to answer that.
Isn't that possible? We should add that into the phone.
Yeah, well, there's 2 major ways you can do this. So if you need to have like a completely distinct layout, then you can just provide a different layout using the resource qualifier on the layout directory. So you'd have your layout directory containing your layout for phones, and then you could have a layout -xlarge or say -SW 600, for example, if you wanted to say I need a minimum of 600 dp's size screen in order to show this larger layout, and then you have an alternative layout in there with the same name. So that's one way you could have a different layout, so go and check the developer docs for that. Another technique which I quite like as well is if the same layout works well for phones, but say on a Nexus 7 you want to have slightly larger images, you can just use a dimensions file. So similarly in your values folder you might have a dimensions.xml in your values folder saying the image size should be 100 dp, but you could have an overloaded version in your values-SW 600 dp. Which has a similar file but overrides that value, so it says the image size should be 150 dp. So then when you kind of reference that size from your layout, you'll get the right version depending on what device you're running on. So you can use the same kind of base layout, but just have bigger image sizes or text sizes or whatever it is you might need.
So and of course it's very well covered in the docs as well. If you just search for supporting multiple screen sizes for Android, then it'll come up and you can see all the details on that as well. Were you going to say something there, Sparky? Sorry.
There we go. I was going to say, those size qualifiers, those size buckets, do those work on alternative drawables as well as on layouts? I thought they did, but I'm not sure.
Drawables you do via densities, right?
You
well,
can add
trivially, yeah.
buckets on there as well. I do believe, and that includes the screen width.
But you still do.
No, because you can still. So what you could do is, if you were doing the size width, and no, they wouldn't. I don't think.
We should look at the supporting multiple screens page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should really look at the supporting multiple screens page. I think that's kind of the answer.
But before you would have had -xlarge, and then you could have NDPI, HDPI, and etc. etc.
And make sure you get the order of those right as well, because the order is important.
There's a hierarchy.
And documented.
Yes, very much so.
And if you don't want to look at the documentation, you can just add your qualifiers using the graphical tool in the IDE in Eclipse, and it'll put them in the right order for you.
Oh, nice.
I was just looking through the different qualifiers. And you can even specify a qualifier for the country code, for the mobile country code. If you want to have different graphics detected by the country of the device automatically, you can put your MCC and your country code in there. That's on providing alternative resources by qualifiers. Layout. And then where? There's a lot of different qualifiers now. UI mode, car, desk, television, or appliance?
These are old. These have all been here since one.
Yeah. Okay. Right, now we can go on to the next one.
Okay, I think I'm on. So the next one on the moderator is sort of a long, complicated question from Ayava in Greece. It says, I want to develop an app that's quite dynamic. It has to correspond to specific tables in a database. It comes from a user account on the website, and we'll have to create buttons and strings and stuff that comes off the web server. This sounds to me kind of like your basic client-server application. You can probably use any sort of a RESTful API using SOAP or using JSON or whatever. I don't see that there's anything about this that doesn't fall into a very broad category of applications that we've seen on Android before. So I think it's eminently doable and probably involves quite a lot of code. So the writer says, is there a library? No, I don't think. There might be some other libraries, but for anything this complex, I don't think you're going to be able to get around writing a lot of code. Maybe you can use some techniques to accelerate your database access code if you're having databases on the device. But yeah, pretty much you're talking client-server application. It's sort of a solved problem. Nothing groundbreaking in there. Let's see. When will Slovakia be in Street View? That's an application question, not a development question.
Yeah, the next two questions are not entirely appropriate. Application or feature requests. Thanks, Al. Maybe that one.
And how can I get Chrome on my Android? The answer from the other reader is supported on ICS and above, and I'll accept that as the correct answer.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
Okay, which means I believe we've got through the moderator questions.
There's a question in the G+ thread where Boyd asks, says that he loves Holo theme so much, can he use it elsewhere? Yes.
How?
No, he says can he use it on Gingerbread apps, even iOS or web apps? Sure.
I'd say Gingerbread, not too hard because it's, you've got all your XML descriptors. Porting the whole thing to iOS, that sounds to me like a world of pain. I mean, yes, you can copy the appearance, but you can't actually port the assets directly.
Yeah, I'm just being a bit flippant there, but I would say you can, like as Sparky says, you can probably get hold of the assets and the general padding and look and feel by looking in the platform resources directory. But you probably want to stop and think, is that something you really want to do? Like I'm a big advocate of having apps look kind of native on their platform that they're on. I would say though that it is okay for an app to follow the Holo theme on Gingerbread, even though it was introduced after that platform, because I just think it's kind of an unmanageable task to really keep an app looking completely native on every version of Android out there. So if you're going to put any effort into making your app look great, I'd say make it work great on the newest stuff on Holo, and it's okay. I mean, that's what we do at Google. If you take a look at Gmail application or their Play Store, for example, they're both very Holo kind of themed applications, and they look the same on Gingerbread. So yeah, you definitely can do that.
On the other hand, turnabout is fair play, isn't it? Wouldn't it be nice to see an application on iOS for once that's a clone of its Android version instead of vice versa?
All the resources and stuff are part of the Android open source project, so it's all Apache licensed, so there's nothing stopping anyone going for that.
Well, I can tell you that in Israel they actually started, producing apps on Android before they start on iOS. Quite surprising.
We've had partners whose apps have been rejected from the iOS store because they looked too Android-y before. You just don't get to see them on iOS because they're rejected before they land in the store.
No. They didn't develop them just because they are delayed. Like, for example, a big telephone company here just produced an app that shows you free Wi-Fi that belongs to their network, like does O2 and other companies in the EU. And they said the iPhone iOS will come soon, but the Android is already out. So,
excellent.
And it's completely Android style, iOS free whatsoever. Quite surprisingly.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's been about 6 months or so since we launched the Android design site, and we're starting to see not just keen Android advocates and developers, but also like the big companies really starting to embrace that. And I think that's what they long for, is an official place saying this is what an Android app looks like, and people are starting to follow that. So it's brilliant to see.
Yeah, that could definitely push that. I think also, Android is I think the advantage of Android also is the fact that it has so many varieties of devices as opposed to one device, if you see what I mean. Because usually, that's the way I see it. If you look at a normal family, it's very rare that you'll see in one family the same device for all people in the family, as opposed to...
Yeah, of course. I agree. Have we frozen? No, Nick's just sitting really still. My mum's got an HTC HD, my dad's got a Nexus S, I've got a Galaxy Nexus. My brother has got a Samsung Galaxy S2. Android family, all different devices. There you go. It's a beautiful story. We've all got a Nexus 7. No, I wish we did though. I've got one.
I can also tell you right now, they announced that Jelly Bean started rolling out for the Zoom also. They just started it.
Oh yeah?
About a few hours ago, they said on XDA that some people started getting it. So
great. So that's the Galaxy Nexus, Nexus S, obviously the Nexus 7, and now the Zoom Wi-Fi.
The Zoom Wi-Fi rollout is only a preview. It's not going out to the public over the air. It's part of Motorola's early adopter program, and they're trying to get people to test it before they do the live rollout.
Really?
Yeah.
I downloaded...
This is Motorola pushing it out to their devices, not the ones that Google control, the American Wi-Fi builds.
American Wi-Fi, I thought, was being controlled by Google, isn't it?
Motorola run a test program before they release the stuff across to Google, and they're running the test program at the moment for the Zoom.
Well, I'm trying to install it right now. I'm not part of the test group, but I downloaded it manually, and hopefully I'll be able to install it with the USB.
That's the Android way, Tal. Of course you downloaded it manually. Of course you pushed it onto the device.
What about
I noticed that in our Nexus 7 commercial they were using an unlocked Nexus 7.
But where is the fun in that? If you get straight away without trying to install it yourself.
See? You feel like you're in control, right?
What about the Nexus Q? What version of Android does that run, on its base?
What did you find on yours, Al, when you decomposed it?
Running a tweaked version of Ice Cream Sandwich, so 404, but it's got some little changes in it because it's Android at home device.
Sneaky. Alright, excellent stuff. We'll keep the video down in length a little bit this time, see if it increases the number of YouTube videos watchers later on. So thank you all very much for dropping by today, and we'll see you all again at 2 p.m. next week for the next Android Developer Office Hours.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Hey guys. I have one big off-topic question. Can I just...
I'm pressing the button.
Okay, so I have Chrome browser, and when I select text, Chrome thinks it's a mouse gesture. How do I turn it off?
Chrome browser on Android?
No, on my PC.
What? There's no gestures in Chrome on your PC. You just select text.
I select text from right to left, and it takes me back a page.
Have you just installed that new Mac thing?
Oh yeah, that sounds like an Apple.
I can select left to right or left
On which
to right.
device?
On a HP Dell ProBook.
Oh.
Well, maybe you need to go to the Chrome office hours and ask them.
Run.
Will
Do
do.
you have any extensions
It
installed?
doesn't happen on mine. Yeah, turn off your extensions, go into safe mode or whatever it's called on.
Safe mode. Okay.
Good to see you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks very much.
Bye.